So no surprises here. We're seeing some consistent civs get banned, and I know you'll get those up in a second, but both sides banned out Rus. Both sides ban
Surprise.
out Zushi. Both sides ban out Holy Roman Empire, which are definitely three of the more popular civs in this meta. Gullyd3ck3l banned Japanese. Maybe makes me think he's going to want to play on some hybrid maps there. Japanese is really powerful on those hybrid maps. And Ramen banning out Joan of Arc. Joan, kind of an interesting ban there. I don't see that ban too often. But Ramen coming in with Byzantines, which is always a powerhouse. China, which is really strong. Ramen has Joan of Arc and has English, and English feels kind of weak in the current meta, but in back-to-back series now, we've seen players opt for English. So they must have a feeling that it's useful somewhere. Gullyd3ck3l, French, Mongols, love to see it. Hopefully we'll get some Mongol play,
Oh.
especially piloted by Gullyd3ck3l. That would be great.
Mm.
OOTD, which I do see kind of frequently on some of these hybrid maps, and Malians. Malians is also powerful. Draft's really strong on both sides. I don't think there's a favorite here.
No, I don't. I mean, I struggle with, defining a clear favorite because I'm how do you say that even? Like I like all the civs in a way, and you can make it work with any civ. Like we've seen players beat other players with supposedly weaker civs, and then there's some civs where it's like, oh, they're not good civs. For example, Mongols are not regarded as strong. But for example, at the Garrison, I believe they were played 4 times and they only lost 1 game. So like besides, like they had a like in a sense they had a better win rate than for example Delhi or China as you see, whatever. And so, yeah, I struggle with defining favorites. But we don't even need to because the first game is already up. I
We are
should be
going
able
to
to see that. Yeah, there it is.
Dry Arabia, Malians versus China here, and this is going to be a good one. I feel like normally when I say fast castling into Malians always feels terrible and you're sort of asking for death, but in the current Pro Scout meta, I've seen it work more and more. So I wonder if Ramen is going to play feudal. China absolutely could even play Dark Age if they wanted to.
If they wanted to, they could make that work for sure. So yeah, Gullyd3ck3l playing with the Malians, I believe one of his more favorite civs, moving out onto the wood, of course, at first, and then going for his first pit mine. So Gullyd3ck3l playing the Malians in purple on the right side against Ramen playing the Chinese on the left side. Also going on wood for now at least. Should be going, yeah, there's the mill. He did actually start with the IO, so a little bit different opening than we saw last game with Ezra. And then yeah, moving the sheep immediately onto the mill here, supervising it as we can see by this little eye icon here floating over the IO. And yeah, so definitely indicating, clearly indicating a pro scout build here, no question about that. 4 houses so far around the pit mine. Probably gonna go up to
Yeah,
6.
this is kind of one of those, like, what do you do early on decisions for Malians, because some civs are going to get aggressive in Dark Age, some civs could get aggressive in Dark Age, so it's like, do I run right to their base and see what's going on? Do I just blind go into the houses? And it's always just kind of like, I feel like you're rolling the dice, because if you run right over to the opponent's base, yes, you get information, you might like what you see, you might not like what you see, but you're kind of giving up on some scouts here, or some sheep, some scouting, by doing that. So Gullyd3ck3l sort of going with a lot of houses here. He's got 7. Uh, so just kind of hoping that there's no Dark Age pressure, because you don't
7.
expect it out of China. But China can absolutely play Dark Age if they wanted to. Maybe he feels comfortable with his back gold spawn, which is very nice. But yeah, either way, Gullyd3ck3l, 7 houses up. This pit mine's going to be generating a lot of gold for him.
Yeah, indeed. That's gonna be very juicy for him. He's actually like way above what he would need for the feudal age. So it could actually also, you know, if he wants to transition into the pro scouts, which with the Malians, you know, having access to the warrior scouts, could actually be quite nicely, you know, tying into some. Since they don't have the horsemen, you know, you could instead go for a couple of warrior scouts, and then once you're done with all the scouting with the deer, you can use them as some low budget, yeah, raiding units. So it could be interesting to see, but yeah, definitely nice to have the pit mine in the back of the base. If we're looking at the map in general, the next pit mine potentially would be on the right side here, which he could kind of, you know, easily wall it off, I guess. Maybe even if he wants to be a little bit more greedy, just wall in the stone and then the deer pack over here. That would be probably a good choice. Just secure this by walling it in. And then there's one more pit mine potentially here, which is pretty exposed and like almost in the middle of the map here. So difficult for Malians on this map to go for some pit mines. It would be easier for China, for sure, to go for some additional pit mines.
Yeah, I mean, both spawns have some advantages and disadvantages here. I'm not. I actually kind of like this Malian spawn here. This east side, gold vein probably be where the second pit mine goes. It's defensible. He can kind of, I don't want to say wall it off, but it's very far away from Ramen's base there, so he can kind of get a second safe pit mine that should carry him at least through the early stages of feudal. And from there, I think he can pro scout those deer a little bit and be in a really good place. Ramen on the other side, Imperial Academy coming in, so he's gonna get a couple more IOs out, and this is the critical time. Gully's gotta be at Ramen's base to see what's going on. China can play feudal, China can fast castle, China can pro scout. A little bit of a versatile civ here, and kind of seeing how Ramen is just out on the deer pack right now.
Very
I don't think
interesting.
Gully scouted that yet, so all of this tells me that Ramen woke up this morning, he chose violence, he's likely going to want to play some feudal once he gets enough wood here. He's got 12 on wood, no IO just yet, but IO is going to pop out in a second here. We'll see some production buildings and maybe see some feudal aggression.
Yes.
Gully Scout is kind of moving over now, so he's going to get the critical information he needs. Sort of queuing over by that deer pack. He can see through the fog of war that some of these deer have disappeared, so he knows something's up. Probably is assuming some sort of pro scout. And there's the archery range, which always signifies violence coming from China in feudal age.
Yeah, and it's followed up by a stable, so we see some archers immediately are China not having access to the Zhuge if they are not in the Song dynasty. So for now it's gonna be archers, and then maybe after. I mean, the thing is, I don't even see a pro scout build here actually, because he didn't go for the pro scouts. So Malians is almost finishing it up. And China is deciding against that. Maybe because this deer pack at least is very close to the base, so he can safely gather from that. Doesn't need to worry about that too much. But getting some deer snagged away from him for now. So Warrior Scouts is already been researched. So doing quite a lot of damage by now, with 7 damage. If they need to.
It's interesting choice here, kind of what Ramen's doing. He's opting to play some feudal, which I like. You need to play feudal against Malians, but he's kind of being defensive. He's protecting his north pack. Meanwhile, Gully is just kind of snacking away, stealing the south pack, and doing so uncontested.
Yeah, that's very. I mean, so Ramen did scout that out, obviously, and so he knows that. I mean, if he pays attention, he will already have realized that there is one deer missing. But yeah, just defending this pack here for now, and so completely going off meta here. I would say we're not going for pro scouts at all. Now trying to get onto the warrior scout, will find a kill here. With the archers and the horsemen obviously being faster than the scouts. but losing out on the deer here on this west side actually. Very interesting.
Yeah. So, 7 minutes into this game, does Malians usually start their cow boom? Because I see in extra stables coming down from Gully. I don't see any signs of cattle kind of being produced. We do have survival techniques coming in, so when should Gully start his cow boom?
Yeah, usually you would expect it to be relatively soon, but then you also usually have more than one mill by now, which I don't think that he has any. He's now just finishing up the setup here for the second pit mine. So the fact that he went for pro scouts and all that delays his castle age, his cow boom just a little bit of course. But okay, there. Okay, so we see the like slowly trickling in now. So the first cow didn't find its way into the cattle into the cattle ranch as of yet. But so first cows coming out. Rip,
Yeah,
rip
there's a
that
little
warrior.
bit of action going on. Gully's warrior scouts are getting hunted down by horsemen here, so Gully is obviously scouting the pressure, reinvesting into some military. Archers diving the first pit mine, come away with 1 kill, trying for a second, but TC is going to kind of repel them, and definitely a nice little raid from Ramen right there.
Not a scout losing his life, but then we also have the first sofa on the field. So again, Malians, let me switch that. Malians not having any horsemen, but instead they have the sofa and the warrior scout, so they are actually switched. Usually you would have the armored unit here and then a horseman here, but they don't have any horsemen, which by the way I find an interesting, unit concept, not having any horsemen. But kind of as like a replacement, you have the warrior scouts that you can actually, get up to veterancy and even elite if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so the warrior scout is a good replacement for the horsemen. I love horsemen. I think they're a great raiding unit. I think they're absolutely powerful at stopping those crossbow masses. But the warrior scout essentially replaces that because they get additional damage, I believe, versus ranged unit once they get veterancy.
Yes, that seems about right. Again, I'm
So
not
little
too.
tower going up
Wait,
on the pit mine, and Gullyd3ck3l looks to kind of be cooking a little bit. Sofa raids going around. Gully is just kind of looking for Ramen's resources right here, and scouts the gold out and sees that there's nothing on gold, and is probably kind of wondering, does this signify an all in? Nice little sofa raid, taking one villager down, getting an archer, and these sofa can fight anything there but those spearmen. Spearmen are gonna kind of push them back, and sofa can largely run away.
yeah,
A little bit of pathing there.
there are pathing issues as usual. So far they're a little bit well, not as tanky as you would expect from regular knight units, but still doing a ton of damage, and really strong against most anything except for the spearmen, obviously. So Gullyd3ck3l did scout out that Ramen barely took more than 100 gold here. Obviously, still does have some sort of gold income because of the taxes that he can collect, as we can see. Yeah, IO doing here just now. Just moving a little bit of back and forth, dropping off a little bit of gold, so that's very nice. So it does have gold still, but not like regularly mining gold, and so definitely looking like an all-in here. And we see a ton of archers here on the field here for Ramen. And Gullyd could be a little bit of trouble here because he does have some sofas, yes, but he does need to find a way to snipe out the spearman first before he can move in onto the archers, and then he still has to deal with the horsemen, which then in turn can get onto his archers. Meanwhile, the farm transition, or not farm transition, the cow boom is almost completed, or halfway. Let's say halfway completed. Um,
But you see this sort of half calf, as I like to call it, like I'm ordering coffee in the morning, into the cow boom is sort of the norm with some Malian players these days. So nothing wrong with kind of only getting up half the ranches and going straight to Castle Age, but Ramen wheeling around to the north side, looking for that wood line. Gullyd3ck3l pulls his villagers away. Ramen in a strong position for a fight here. 56 military to 26. But if you look at the resources, they're about equal, and that's because these sofas are very expensive.
Yeah, value.
180 resources.
Value is fine. Still for Gullyd3ck3l. The question is like he's kind of far away from Castle Age because he needed to invest a lot more into his military just now. So he will just delay it by a little bit, but he already has half of his cow boom done. He's reeling in more deer as we speak, and so in general, I think if he needs to commit to the long fight, he should be able to hold that because I believe. Let's switch it over. Yeah, if you're looking at the resource per minute, it's way in favor for Gullyd3ck3l, and so I don't think that Ramen will be able to break that. I mean, if he finds this one here, yes, that's way exposed. He can get onto that. But Gullyd3ck3l also rallying onto or redirecting his units onto the second pitman. He knows that this is a weak point. This is inside his base. He doesn't really need to worry about that too much for now. And now we might see some fight going on here. Rams onto the stable, needs to do something about that. But the unit's still in the back here. Not really connecting anything here. Need to run around the woodline here. Takes a lot of time off. And Ramen has enough time to get that one stable down. One last sofa coming out of that. And that's gonna be it. Needs to be replaced fairly soon. And now Ramen is moving into the base here. A lot of horsemen in front, a lot of spearmen as well. Archers need to find them as quickly as possible because the archer mass here, 48 archers, is really scary.
Yeah, Ramen kind of forced to retreat a little bit. Gullyd3ck3l did a really nice job cutting off reinforcements with his warrior scouts, and this is a great fight. Ramen does not have enough spearmen here. Gullyd3ck3l can fully commit, and I think this is where Gullyd3ck3l wins it. Sopa's now diving onto the archers. This is a mismatch. There's two more spearmen coming in, but they're not enough. He needs a lot more than this, and Gully's gonna pull back, clean out the ram, and he's going to Castle Age. Grand Filani Corral coming down, and Ramen can't fight anymore. Needs to pull back, and Gully is happy to see it because he's got that landmark coming up. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if that age up comes in and Ramen just, types GG, let's go next, because once the cow boom goes off, it's you're in a bad place. Yeah, unless you've scaled somehow, or you've killed a lot of your opponent's villagers, which, as you can see from the graph, it's 1-to-1. The Malians are going to have a nice 10-15 minute window with a massive economic advantage, and Barbican of the Sun coming down, that's not going to save them. They're also going to have a massive tech advantage, and imported armor on those sofas is so valuable. So this is it. This is Gully's window, and a player like Gully is gonna capitalize for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if I would be in Ramen's position, I probably would GG this right now, just because the fact that you're going all in onto your opponent, he holds it fairly easily, still has a lot of units, and on top of that is able to go onto Castle Age, and you just know that with all the passive income that he has with the gold, with the cattle ranches, he can now just grab some relics if he wants to, get some additional gold income as well. I mean, you didn't win the first time. How are you going to win the second time? Yes, Clock Tower, with the Nest of Bees, that's definitely a great option. But the sofas don't really mind Nest of Bees that much, right? So, they're tough.
They
tough
do
call.
not. But yeah, Ramen, surprisingly, he got his resources up really quickly and got to Castle Age a lot faster than I thought he could. He might have a small window here now that he's in Song Dynasty to kind of hold. Poor little IO was just trying to collect taxes and, gets murdered by these Sofa and Warrior Scouts.
Well, nobody likes
transition.
people collecting taxes, I guess, so...
Taxman is nobody's friend here, but Gully has found the granary transition, which is tough. there's the Castle Age. Gullyd knows what that means. I think Gullyd pushes here. I think Gullyd identifies his small window of an advantage.
Yeah, now they're all exposed. There's one spearman in the mix, but that doesn't really matter at all. And now just the archer is super exposed. And one more spearman coming in from the top. And I mean, even if you sacrifice a little bit, you're just happy to take out all those archers. The archer mass, keep it low to not have to deal with that as much. And then you can go for some javelin throws if he wants to. He has 12 already, my goodness. So that is looking very strong. He doesn't even need to take out the archers in that sense. And there they are. Speaking of the devil, the javelin throwers taking ages to fire a hit. But doing a ton of damage here, obviously, onto them, countering them very nicely. And Gullyd3ck3l is pretty strong. All of that is idled out here. So good for you having a farm transition. It's bad for you if it's not really working. Finding another kill here, getting backstabbed.
Yeah, Gullyd just finding his time, and GG gets called there, and that is just the Malian window with Calboom.
Wow.
They're such a difficult civ to sort of play as, but also a difficult civ to play against, because you have to know the timings, otherwise they just kill you. You have to get value in feudal, or you have to scale somehow to match them in castle. And they just have this really clean timing when piloted by a high-level player such as Gullyd, that just makes them so abusive.
Yeah, and Gullyd3ck3l, he's really good at Malians, and he just showed us, I would say, a near perfect game here. Definitely a very strong performance, and with the Malians, it's very deceiving. If you look at the villager count, very even here. Most neither player losing a ton. But if you're looking at the eco count, then it just skyrockets here for Gullyd3ck3l with all the passive income, and so again, your opponent reaching Castle Age with all that passive income in the back, it's tough. That's very tough for you. So first game going over to Gullyd3ck3l. Good KD as well here in eco. Yeah, just slightly ahead here. Not massively, of course, but a lot of gold more. Which then translates into all the upgrades that you need, and that's basically the final nail in the coffin against someone who just went for a feudal all-in and didn't have most of the upgrades for, I believe, most of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of, I don't know what Ramen's plan was with the granary transition, right? He kind of put it down when he still had a lot of deer available to him. He still had a lot of berries available to him, and I felt like that just slowed him down just enough for Gullyd to hit that all-important Calboom timing. So I think maybe he lost track of his wood, potentially, and was just like, you know what, granaries are really good. I have the wood, let's just kind of do it, and it'll set me up a little bit for the future. Just didn't quite work out. It just turned into a target for Gullyd, and Gullyd identified that as the soft spot, if you would, and, you saw his archers and his jab throwers just immediately move there once his warrior scouts and sophists found it. He knew that was where he had to attack.
Yeah, and so I don't like the China opening. It was different, and I don't like it as much. Sometimes it's nice to do something different than what your opponent would expect, just to throw them off. But that would require a build that is equal to the one that usually gets built, and so I think that was a little bit of a mistake to go for that, I think.
Yeah, and like I said, Malians are just so tough to play against. So I know you were updating the next match. Do you mind if I tell the viewers what we have upcoming?
Oh, no, please, go ahead, yeah.
So it looks like we are going to Four Lakes, which is Ramen's map that he's selected. And coming out on Gullyd3ck3l's side is French, which French recently had a buff, if you will, where that first dock gives you 10 pop, or I think it's all docks give you 10 pop.
I think it's all docks,
so
actually, yeah.
Yeah, it eliminates that need for that initial house, sort of giving French some tempo. On the other side of it, which is very interesting, I want to see how it's played, is English. And I've seen this played at a high level, and it's almost always going to be the king coming out But I'm not 100% sure what English is going to do against French here. The King is a great unit. You can't really go Council Hall because Longbows into French Knights is not great. So very interesting. I want to see kind of how Ramen approaches this with English.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a classic, English against French, but the twist here is that it's gonna be on 4 lakes, and so I think that's gonna switch it up quite heavily compared to, if it would be on Dry Arabia, for example, or something like that, some more, quote unquote standard map. So I updated everything. I think this. Oh no, wait, I didn't.
I think you have to hit refresh there.
Yeah, I
And
probably
I
need
wonder if
to
maybe
update graphics.
this goes a little bit towards the Civ drafts. Ramen using China on Dry Arabia. And when I look at the civs he has left, he has Joan of Arc. So you could have had that mirror. Looking at
Mm.
what Gullyd3ck3l has for 4 lakes, he could go OOTD, he could go French. So Joan of Arc doesn't feel great into either of those. So maybe he's just selecting English because it's a little bit better all around.
Yeah, could could be. I mean, I
Could
would have
be.
loved to see Byzantines as well. And especially with on water, you also generate, which tell me how that works. You're gathering fish and you get olive oil. I don't know. Um,
Well, there's this process they use, and I'm trying here, man. I don't got anything for you.
yeah, it's like
But
I wasn't a biology main, but like this doesn't seem right. Like, yeah.
Listen, it's just an ancient technique, all right? But I don't think Byzantines is going to come out too often on hybrid or water maps, only because they have one glaring weakness in their game in those situations, and that is the lack of a spring-old ship.
Oh
They
yeah.
have a Greek fire ship, but it's a little bit more of a meme than a useful unit. I don't know too many players who have found successful uses for it. On
Yeah.
top of that, its range is bad.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's a very valid point. I almost forgot about that part because it's just so bad. But so yeah, I would have loved to see Byzantines because of the oil. But anyway, regardless, we're playing Gullyd3ck3l again in purple, playing the French on the left side against Ramen again in orange on the right side. Both players immediately moving out onto one of the lakes, the south sides, respectively. So both starting off with a dock. Gullyd3ck3l slightly delayed because of that pesky wolf. Is it pesky or pesky? It's probably both, I guess.
pesky, by the infantry, you know,
But
they're frustrating. And he got two on the spawn over here,
but it's
but his
also a
dock is
pest,
gonna
right?
be
So, but
yeah.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so a little bit delay here for the dog, but then again, he doesn't need to go for a second house immediately. Ooh, is he? Is he? No, okay, he will. Will he be pop capped? That's the question. He currently is producing. Okay, there it is. So yeah, perfect timing here by Gullyd3ck3l having that quote unquote second house here. Um, and yeah, I can start immediately with the production. Ramen did find that, so let's take a quick look at scouting. Ramen just, yeah, went around, found that dog, knows that this is the dog that Gullyd3ck3l chose to go on. Does a little bit damage here on the villager. It will take another 27 hits, so like a minute, close to a minute, then that villager will go down. On the other side, Gullyd3ck3l also did scout out the dog on Ramen's side, and is now just moving back and probably is gonna help out the villager a little bit against the scout. Dealing
Yes,
some extra 10 damage against scouts.
Gully's doing it. He's killing all the sheep.
Oh
I
yeah,
love this play.
perfect, yeah. Yeah, getting another hit, so that's, ooh, how many is that even? That's like 4?
Yeah, it looks like
Oh my
four total, and
goodness.
Ramen had five total. But
Ah,
Ramen is like, you know what? If I'm gonna lose my sheep, I'm gonna try to get
another
this
one?
kill here, and he's gonna maybe try to micro this. That's all 5 sheep gone though, which
my
to English isn't the end
goodness.
of the world.
We should really like.
Especially,
We needed the soundboard with Crackety. We're like another one, huge, amazing.
yeah, but for everyone watching back home, when you have that pesky scout just kind of slowly
Sorry.
grinding away at your villager, just murder the sheep. They'll
Yeah.
they'll run away.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is very valuable, and I mean, yeah, obviously you end up with a couple sheep underneath your gold vein usually, but then you just drop a mill, 50 wood usually. If you're French, it's even less than that, um, and then yeah, you get some free extra sheep on top of your gold. So can't say no to that. Very good, deterrent against scouts. And is he? He didn't ask, by the way. He didn't lose the villager, so yeah, very low in health. But you can just keep it underneath your TC. It will heal up eventually at some point if you go for some priests in Castle Age. So yeah, not really like a lot of eco damage actually done to Ramen, even though he was the aggressor here. So very nicely done by Gullyd3ck3l. And again, just showcasing that kind of like mental awareness, not freaking out just because you're getting the attack notification, but just keeping his cool, bringing over his scout. If he's going for pro scouts, by the way, he could also just carry them over to his town center or to his mill, so he doesn't even need to gather them from here if he doesn't want to. So good
Listen,
opening
to
here.
all of our viewers' amazement, we are likely not going to see pro scouts here. You're on water, the food is nice, but not necessarily something you need. Looking over at Gullyd3ck3l's base, I mean, this is like the most I'm going to push this deer pack I have ever seen. So I don't think pro scouts is in the cards today with the spawn, with the map, and with the civs that are being played. We do have an Abbey of Kings, which makes perfect sense here. You want to get that king out there to kind of be annoying and harass a little bit. School of Cavalry on the other side, nothing is more French than a school of cavalry.
Yeah, I mean, especially on a map like that, you don't even have to talk about the Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, it's definitely School of Cavalry is the landmark to be. Both players want to get there relatively fast with 6 and 5 villagers on it, respectively. So even though they had a delay because of the dock and all that, still hitting feudal almost at the same time, a little bit more over than, yeah, a little over 5 minutes in. Pro Scout, I would say. I was gonna say Pro Scout. No, the Royal Knight obviously getting queued immediately here. Um, Gullyd3ck3l did
Oh,
scout. I
he
think this
has
is.
an opportunity to do something so funny, but I don't think he saw it. So his first Royal Knight is queued up, and this knight is not going to make it in time to prevent this dock from going up, so that villager will probably be sacrificed to the Royal Knight. But if he got the scout over here, he might have been able to boar pull onto the villager
Ooh,
and
yeah.
prevented this dock from getting up. This villager sees it. He's running to the boar himself because he's just going to activate the boar and hope to get some damage on that knight because the villager's just dead.
Yeah,
No way home.
that's a dead villager. We do see the Hulk being in queue now. Um, but Gullyd3ck3l is already having an archer ship himself on the field, which is getting countered by the Hulk, so he needs to be careful that he doesn't really commit to that too much.
Yeah, and this is a huge tempo advantage for Ramen here. He has a dock on his enemy's pond, and his pond is free and clear and nice and safe. And if you look at his pond, this is what I love from top level play. Ramen has one fishing boat, all the way
Yeah.
on the corner there, and he does that for line of sight. He wants to see if Gully is getting cheeky with the dock.
Yeah, that is so smart. I've seen it a couple times, and as you mentioned, like on high level play, you see that the fishing boats have quite a nice line of range or vision, and so it's really nice to have that one over there. Yes, of course, it takes forever to get back and forth and so on, but You know, if you're having like 10 fishing boats or 8 on the on that pond here, one being a little bit slower doesn't like matter too much. King almost finding another villager kill here, so one at least losing its life over here, and another one close. But on the other side, Gullyd3ck3l also finding a villager kill here as well. So fairly even here in terms of villager kills, but Gullyd3ck3l with the faster production speed for the town center as well as with the docks, slightly ahead in villager or in econ numbers, but is losing the Hulk that he just had, or galley
He's losing his pond.
Yeah, and
He's losing his pond.
He will likely lose his pond here, so fishing boats are scrambling to find anything here. Trying to get away and healing up slowly. He could hold it still. We don't see demo ships as of yet, which, you know, can turn the tide very fast.
Yeah, but the damage has kind of already been done here. So you see Gullyd3ck3l is now gathering from shoreline fish, not that deep sea fish. So his fishing boats are less efficient. He's lost a couple. And this entire time, Ramen's ships have been A-okay. Just kind of unharassed, and King getting a nice raid in. You see two villagers went down there from the King on Gullyd3ck3l's gold, and Ramen kind of trying to take some revenge for that game 1. King got a little too close to that TC though. He might go down 18, and ooh, he gets sniped.
Yeah,
that's
so
costly.
That is a very costly thing for him here. You know, 200 resources for a King. I mean, it's fine for, you know, the value that it provides, but still, not a free King. You know, it's not like Jeanne d'Arc, which respawns after a certain time, or with the Khan for the Mongols. You do have to pay for that King, and so Ramen cannot do that right now. We'll have to wait a little bit, but is continuing his aggression on water for now.
Royal Knights raiding Ramen's woodline, come away with the villager kill there, and this west pond, look at Ramen. He's playing like a step ahead right now. He's got that dock coming up. Meanwhile, Gullyd3ck3l was struggling to get his docks up. Gully has a horseman out. I think he sees the villager. Horseman's not going to be in time to stop the dock, but it will get the villager kill. But Ramen doesn't mind, because Ramen has won the South Pond. Gullyd3ck3l seems to be kind of giving up on that South Pond and just letting it go. Royal Knights, though, continue to raid this English woodline here as they attempt to get this wall up, but not in time. Another villager going down here, and it's 11-7 after the horseman gets the villager on the dock.
7-11. Where did I hear that before? So very
Yeah,
close, by the way, here with the demo ship here, making a good connect. But Ramen was very good at, you know, splitting the ships, so it could hit only one, and then it was not enough to actually kill one of the Hawks, and so you can just repair it slowly underneath the dock influence. So that is definitely an abandoned pond if I've ever seen one. So Gullyd3ck3l needs to win this this pond for sure if he wants to find a way back into the eco game here, because Ramen very good so far on water, winning basically 3 ponds currently at least.
King is back with a vengeance. 2 villagers down in Gully's woodline. King moving on a little bit. Royal Knights find Ramen's woodline, and this is just like they're trading villager kills. Spears coming out for Ramen though, and those Royal Knights are going to go down. Villagers pull out their short bows to make sure the Knights can't get away, and the woodline is secure again. This west pond though definitely looks like Gully is going to take it, so he's going to start investing in some fishing ships sooner rather than later there, but Ramen has 2 ponds. Gully is just claiming this 3rd one here. Demo ship in queue. This west pond, Ramen isn't going to give it up without a fight.
No, I mean, it's like, why should he, in a sense? Like, it's worth it for him to, you know, spend a couple of resources here. Good connection here onto Gullyd3ck3l's ships. Demo could pop out here or, you know, detonate any second here. which would get that low dock dangerously low. But even if Ramen loses this one pawn, he won 2 already. This one is completely uncontested, so he could even try and go for it. The scout is, rotating around that, but once that is gone, he could actually go for the 3rd pawn.
Yeah, look at Gully though. He's got a mass of archers and knights moving around sort of westward of Ramen's base, going towards this gold, going towards the wood. And it looks like Gully was able to sneak a dock up on this east pond here, and galley archer ship wreaking havoc.
That is very sneakily. I don't even know how that exactly happened, but that is very good. So like idling out all those fishing boats potentially could be very, very valuable. Even killing them, even better than idling them out. Just kill them straight away. Does have a demo ship here as well, so can control this part fairly good right now. But that is, again, we have 2 docks on Ramen's side, so should be able to get that nuisance out of the way fairly soon. Meanwhile, army is moving in from the Gullyd3ck3l now. Enough archers to deal with the spearmen, hopefully, maybe.
Not enough. These longbows are picking them off, and those knights charged right into spears and got skewered. Likely because Gully was microing over on this pond, trying to win this east pond there. Gullyd3ck3l has to kind of retreat, lost all of his knights there, but he's taking a fight to this pond, like he should, disrupting all of Ramen's eco. Ramen's response, he's got a Hulk and he's got a demo kind of coming out, double demos kind of going in. Hulk's running away. I don't know if the Hulk's going to be able to get away. First one, second one connect there. The spring-old ship goes down, and Ramen on his safe pond suddenly is getting pushed off of it, just like he did to Gully on the south pond there.
Yeah, needs to be careful that he doesn't lose this pawn, because he would obviously love to keep that. But he did win the land fight at least, so he didn't necessarily lose the water fight and did win the land fight. Gullyd3ck3l, I believe, was just moving in, and so the archers were actually just hitting the tower, which you hate to see that.
This might be anti-timing. Look in the middle of the map. Ramen was going for the deer pack, and the archers were just right there, and luckily no villagers have gone down. Ramen caught it in time.
Yeah, caught it in time, so that would have been really brutal if you lost a couple of villagers there.
And that's the thing with these hybrid maps, right? You have a little bit going on in a lot of different places. You have to pay attention to all your ponds. You have to pay attention to your wood line. Gullyd3ck3l is obviously raiding, and there's just action going on left, right, and center.
Pretty much, yeah. We just heard that the king was killed. Is in queue already, so we'll get back to the field relatively soon. And
yeah, I want to answer a question in chat. Someone in chat wants to know, are there any pros in this tourney? And I think we can easily answer that and say yes. Yes, there are. We are not casting one of the best known ones here, but Gullyd3ck3l himself participates in a lot of these tournaments. You also have Myriad participating. You have Ramen, who participated at the last S-tier tournament, I believe. So yeah, there are plenty of pros in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, Valdemar is there as well. Sass, a pretty strong player, obviously. Knock is there as well. So after this series, we can look at the bracket again, but definitely some very strong contenders playing in this tournament. Most of them, at least, like I would say, all of the ones that will make it into the quarter or semifinals will be Conqueror 3 players, and yeah, nothing to scoff at, that's for sure.
Isn't Sass top 10?
I want to say yes, but I don't want to give false information, so I would have to look that up. I'm not certain on that. I know he's a good player. I don't know his exact rank.
Ooh, King gets caught out here in the middle. Good surround there. Archers pick him off, and this is a fight that I don't think Gullyd3ck3l has the knights to win here.
No, he's definitely
English
lacking the knight, so he cannot really engage too much with the men at arms. They're still only feudal, of course, but yeah, still very strong units against the archers as a front line. And we did get confirmation that Saz apparently is number 12 on the ladder, and so yeah, so rank, yeah, number 12. Valdemar, I believe, was 26 when I looked at that earlier. So some top 30 actually in this tournament as well.
Yeah, we do have Gullyd3ck3l coming up with the Royal Institute right now. Ramen, not necessarily close, but not too far away from Castle Age. Pushing in here, Gullyd3ck3l obviously retreating. He's going to wait till he gets veterancy in, so I think that's sign for Ramen to either push or go castle himself here. And English longbows are picking off several of Gully's archers as they retreat. Ramen looking at his macro, I think Ramen's going to go castle here. So here's the question. White Tower, King's Palace. You know, you have 2 pawns. King's Palace isn't going to give you a ton of value. You're going to get some good tempo out of the White Tower. What do you think we're going to see here?
Very good question. I think that since it's a hybrid map, the White Tower could prove to be valuable, especially if he wants to secure some outward resources. So for example, if you place the White Tower here, you secure a big gold vein, you secure stone, double berries, a little bit of the deer as well. The wood line would be safe. So we could see some aggressive, or like could have, you know, like now the question is over. But I would have loved to see some aggressive White Tower, but we do see the King's Palace, so that is gonna be his choice. Probably also because the pawns, they don't scale indefinitely, and so at some point you might want to have some more villager production, especially against the French, who have the, you know, the budget Song Dynasty with the 17 seconds villager production instead of the usual 20. And so yeah, King's Palace is just a safe, nice landmark. Also kind of nice in terms of defensive capabilities, so not a bad choice overall.
Yeah, I don't think there was a right choice. I think it's a playstyle choice at this point. You do have Gullyd3ck3l's knights and archers over by the King Palace there. Ramen doesn't seem to notice right away. Neither does Gully. Ramen notices, does the garrison real quick. A couple of villagers are going to go down. Again, King's Palace is the town center, so not the end of the world. But this is some really good value. Look at Ramen, he kind of tries to pull those villagers out and then garrison the other ones, but Gullyd3ck3l is on top of it, gets a couple more picks here, and now he's going to start running away. Really great raid by Gully. But not a fight I think he can take just yet. Veterancy kind of slowly coming in. Being any second on the longbows, there it goes, and yeah, Gully's got to kind of retreat a little bit.
Yeah, definitely a great raid, but needs to get out while he still can. Royal Bloodline's on the way, still another 20 seconds. And then maybe he can more easily contest that, especially without a spearman. But he has this classic issue with the archers that, yes, you need to snipe the spearman, but you have a ton of longbows against you. But now, since he moved all that way, the longbows are slower. He actually got a couple seconds where he could easily snipe the archers, not the archers, the spearmen, while the longbows are still away, and so he actually can turn the tide here. Almost all the front line here for Ramen did lose their lives, and now just a couple of longbows and then the king's still alive, which, yeah, not too much health still.
Yeah, I think that was close. Gully made the right decision by pulling back, saving a lot of those hurt knights, despite the front line of Ramen disappearing here. But what kind of triggered that fight was just the slow movement speed of longbows. The distance between the Ramen's longbows and the spears got too great, so Gully kind of jumped on it and got a lot of value.
Yeah, now
look at this. Ramen's picking off those hurt knights. That is some precision from Ramen right there, but unfortunately he overextended. He's going to lose all these longbows. King dives on the TC, tries to get a villager kill, but can't. He might make it out in time, barely. men-at-arms in the wood line, and Ramen is starting to just sort of hit Gullyd3ck3l on a couple different fronts right here. But Gullyd's villagers actually have an additional 25 HP, so they're kind of tanky there. Relics coming in for Gullyd as well. Gullyd has 2 in, has another 2 in his possession. King gets hunted down right there. Good surround by the villagers. And I like Gullyd's position. I like what Gullyd's doing. Ramen currently has a little bit of a military lead, but with all those relics on Gullyd's side and 2 ponds, behind all this, Gullyd has snuck up and taken the North Pond, which is right next to Ramen's base. This is a close fight.
Yeah, and so both players having 2 pawns currently under their possession. Gullyd3ck3l moving out on the big gold here, securing it with 2 towers as well. Doesn't have enough stone to go for a keep. He could look to drop the Red Palace at some point if he, like, you know, in, I don't know, 10 minutes or whatever when he wants to go for Imperial Age. But right now is holding it very nicely. Some arbitraries in the mix as well. And now we can see the healing just trickling in and slowly but surely getting the relic. 4 relics and just the 1 got away for... What is... I think that's a mistake here on Ramen's side. I don't think that he wants to go for the Sacred South before dropping it off at the monastery.
I think that might be a misclick. That's not... You don't want to send your only monk with the only relic you have. Okay, Ramen caught it and realized that his monk was shift queued incorrectly.
Yeah.
He set it up properly this time. King coming in, gonna kill Gullyd's monk, or attempt to. Knights are coming over to sort of stave off the king a little bit. King can't stay here.
Yeah, that's
They
nice.
could get a surround.
Wonderful, nice surround here. Getting the king down, is in queue already again, so just immediate buyback. The English don't take a long time without having a king, that's for sure, if we're looking at history.
A little bit of a run-by attempt. Gullyd decides it's not worth it right there, so pulls his knights back. Kind of looking at this, Ramen pretty secure. He's starting to onion the map. Gullyd3ck3l a little bit of a better position, and I think you're right. He's going for Imp. If you look at his resources, I think he's going to put a Red Palace down somewhere, probably on the west side, and then just focus and defend the sort of southeast. Mangonel gets caught out of position right there and goes down, and Ramen sort of engaging in a little bit of a bad fight here. Spearman a little late to the party, coming in now, gonna drive these knights away. Tough fight here, but I think Ramen's gonna take it. Gullyd's gonna garrison his villagers to try to help him out a little bit here, and Gullyd's force is quickly in retreat here.
Yeah, you can tell that Gullyd3ck3l hasn't been producing as much in the last couple of minutes, and so he was lacking a little bit. Also, the knights got caught by a couple of spearmen, so he lost a couple before they could join the fight. Horsemen getting added to the mix now will be very effective against the Mangonel, and of course the English crossbows as well.
Yeah, it looks like this push by Ramen just sort of delayed what I think Gullyd wants to do. Gullyd was macroing up towards Imperial Age there, trying to drop the Red Palace, but Ramen disrupted that. Trebuchet is now in, and Ramen is going to continue to apply pressure here, so Gullyd recommitting to military. Absolutely the right call right here, especially because he needs this forward gold. And, ooh, King goes down right in front of that tower there. Springold gets caught out a little bit, and I think Ramen might have bought off a little bit more than he can chew here. Horsemen get a good surround on the siege, on the crossbows. Gullyd's archer backline is kind of moving up and can start picking off the spearmen here, and I think we might be seeing what is the beginning of the end here.
Yeah, definitely. So a little bit of a turn here of events. Gullyd3ck3l able to push away Ramen's forces. A lot of horsemen added now instead of the Royal Knights, which they also benefit from the royal bloodlines, so it's not the worst call in the world to go for the horsemen. Finding the villagers here on the gold, that is going to be costly for Ramen. Also, he needs this gold. Okay, is he finding it? That's the question.
Nope.
Hmm.
But
Now
that
he's finding
strangled
it.
ship, the Hulk, allowed him to find it there. That brought Gully's attention over here, and Gully identified the villagers. They went down.
Yeah.
No worry, though. I mean, Ramen's on 2 TC here. Struggling to hold the middle ground, though. Forced back yet again into his outpost range. And Gully just, recommitting to Castle Age here. No longer going Imperial Age, and sort of punishing Ramen for pushing out. Horsemen are going to kind of burn the Palisade gate down, try to get access to the squishy backline. Ramen's going to move over. Horsemen are going to get pushed off. And now I think Gully, going back to his original plan, wants to get the Red Palace down, wants to get imp upgrades. Continues to sort of macro towards that instead of going for the kill. And I don't blame him. Get the tech advantage. Once the Red Palace goes up, it's a pretty secure, like, this is my spot.
Yeah.
It's maybe not a Berkshire, but it's definitely hard to fight into. Not something you want to fight into.
No, it may not be a Berkshire, but it's definitely a Red Palace. And so, yeah, definitely would also just secure his position. Not to mention the fact that, with the French and building production stables and archery ranges around the keep will provide some discount on the units. So that would also kind of be like some sort of eco bonus, you could say, like a reverse eco bonus. Still the too cheap here, still from early on when the scout got killed, but that's funny. And yeah,
Nice
I think
raid.
moving into the Red Palace too soon just provides your opponent with a window to clap back on you, and so I think it was a good choice from Gullyd to first hit your opponent even harder, and then once you feel comfortable, then you can go into the Red Palace, and that would it just got cancelled?
Oh no.
There it was.
Yeah, it was an aggressive Red Palace, and Ramen scouted it out, and Gully's gonna lose some villagers here. Not game ending, but definitely a little too aggressive there. Gully kind of forced back. Here we go. We have that mid-map safe Red Palace.
Yeah.
Ramen, though, he knows this is the time to fight. He's moving all of his military there to try to contest this Red Palace. Mangoes, Springles on the back line, kind of wiping out Ramen's forces here, and this Red Palace is getting rushed up. And I think it's going to come at great cost, but I don't think Ramen's going to be able to stop this.
Yeah, it's definitely going to come at great cost, but at the same time, Ramen is also losing all of his army that he had here in the front, and wow, that is the GG.
Ooh, that was a tough series. Gullyd3ck3l had his plans kind of ruined, had to go back to the drawing board a couple times, but able to come out on top here. Just sort of just holding on, really, right? Just not giving in, being just very rigid, losing his pawn early, having to fight for his second pawn, but just not willing to throw in the towel, and was able to kind of fight through all that and come back with the 2-0 in the series.
Yeah, and I mean, like, really great play here by Ramen on water the first 10-15 minutes. And then it kind of went a little bit downhill from there. We could see in the military graph that he was at quite a clear advantage actually, and then it took like a very bad fight, and then like I would say like this was kind of like the point where he lost the game in a sense. Um, Eco-wise, pretty even game overall. Yeah.
Yeah, just the definition of perseverance there. Like there were moments where it was like, this is a tough spot. I don't know how Gully's gonna, come back from this. But I really like the horseman switch. The horseman performed very well against the longbows, against the crossbows, not so much against the men-at-arms and spears. But French has arbaletiers, they have their own bows, so they have answers to that front line there. And I think Gully just grinded his way to a win, just willed himself here.
Yeah.
Really liked watching that.
Yeah, pretty much. So let's update the score here real quick. So Gullyd3ck3l taking a very good 2-0, although it looked very good for English. So I was expecting it to go all the way. Um, but unfortunately, Ramen getting knocked out here at this point. Gullyd3ck3l moving on to the semifinals.